Hello friends and welcome back to the Business Guruji. Please click on the subscribe button to get the latest videos from our channel. Today we will see how to create a bell curve in Excel. A bell curve is the most common type of distribution for a variable and it is also known as a normal distribution. A normal bell curve looks like this, and based on the even distribution of the data, the smoothness of this curve is defined. So the better the distribution of the data, the smoothness would be your bell curve. So in order to get a bell curve, we would be needing three different tabs. One would be distribution, other one would be average, and third would be standard deviation. So first of all, we'll calculate the average of the data. I'll use the function average and then I'll select the range. Similarly with standard deviation, I will select the standard deviation. So if you can see, there are two types of function. One is standard deviation for population and standard deviation for sample. So generally we use standard deviation of population when we know that we have captured 100% of the data, and we use standard deviation for sample when we have selected a sample from our entire range. Hence I know that this is a standard deviation for a sample, so I will use standard deviation.s, and normally we use standard deviation for sample because we generally do our testing for a sample itself. And then I will select this range in order to calculate the standard deviation. Now I will calculate the normal distribution of the function. I'll use the formula normal distribution. So if you see, there are four variables. X means the data, mean means the average which we have calculated, which is D3. I will freeze using the F4 function, and then the standard deviation, which is E3, and again I'll freeze it using the F4 function. Now there are two types of distribution function. One is cumulative distribution and one is probability mass function. So cumulative distribution function is an increasing graph, which is not required here. So we'll use the function false, which will help us in creating the bell curve. Now I'll copy this formula to the entire range. So we have got the distribution function here. Now I will create a bell curve using, I'll go to the insert function and then I will use the scatter charts. So you can use any type of scatter charts, either you can put up with markers or without markers as per your requirement. I can also delete this, and the horizontal axis shows the count. So if you see, I have a count of 27 and it is showing a distribution of 27 data points across this function. Now let us take a practical example of a bell curve. For example, we have the data of students getting marks in one subject. So we have data of 25 students. So let us see how this curve looks like. I will create distribution, average, and standard deviation. I will calculate the average, and I'll also create a standard deviation of the sample. Then I'll use the formula normal distribution x with if average and standard deviation with a false probability mass function. Now I will select this, go to insert and create a scatter chart. Now you see that the data was not organized in the ascending order. Hence we will first organize the data into ascending order as well. So I will select this range and select sort smallest to largest, and I will continue with the current selection. Now you see that the distribution has arranged automatically, but because the data was not evenly distributed, the curve is not a smooth one like we have seen in example number 2. Yep. So friends, you saw how to create a bell curve in Excel. So we'll discuss more functions about Excel in our next video. This is all for now, so stay tuned. Bye.